I'm not always on
It's
camera.
action.
I don't know why.
You're the Pushysix guy, you know?
That's what they say.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. So, podcast. I have my second guest, Jacob, Northstar. Now, you're the guy behind Northstar, all their media, all that stuff.
Yeah.
What do you do as a job?
My job's operations manager at Northstar Contracting, so obviously a lot goes into that job, but part of it, kind of something I do on the side, is just the marketing and social media aspect of it. So kind of try to do that on the weekends when I have a little bit more time. But
So during the day,
yeah, day-to-day operations, right? So scheduling, dealing with the crews, talking to clients, do a lot of forecasting as far as what we have coming up in the future, kind of the type of equipment we're going to need, right? So forecasting our equipment needs, our labor needs, all that sort of thing.
it's a bit unique for you, I think, because you have more than one division. You have underground
Yeah.
and paving too,
Yep.
and also concrete.
Yep. Yeah. So we try to sell it as a one-stop shop, right? So we'll do grading, concrete, paving, and underground. So that's one of our main things we try to sell to our clients is we'll do everything from, dirt up. We'll do it for you, and hopefully that provides synergies as far as schedule and, as far as you have one PM contact, so you're not dealing with 4 or 5 different contacts. It's just a lot easier, right? But it does make it a bit trickier for us. Just, you need PMs that understand all facets of construction, where a lot of our competitors might only know deep utilities or paving or concrete, right? So I think it's good, but tricky at first for our younger coordinators and PMs to learn, right? Because it's just so much more to learn. But once they do learn, it obviously makes them that much more skilled in the industry. So
Do you help them learn? Like, do you guys provide like on the job training? Like, is there?
yeah, I think it's like obviously we have on the job training, but a lot of it's mentorship. I think you probably went through the same thing, right? Like you've got, our senior PM and myself and the other PMs, they'll mentor the coordinators on a day-to-day basis, right? So we kind of have an open door policy. So if, these younger guys need help, they can come to us at any time. Same with our owner. Our owner has an open door policy. So I always see PMs duck their head in there every now and then for questions or the field staff, right? So I think that's the best way to run things is that open door policy where if you guys ever need a hand, I'm a call away or just walk down the hallway, right? So,
Makes it so much easier. Like, I've worked at a bunch of big outfits, and you're just throwing out the sharks.
yeah.
That's the best way to learn. It is because you need to work it out on your own, solve your own problems. But at the same time, like asking for help was never really an option,
No.
and like that's okay for me because my entire life I've been thrown at sharks, whether growing up or whatever. Just I had to do everything on my own,
Yeah.
which is good for me. But not everyone is maybe built like me or like us
Yeah.
that can do that. And I think with the next generation people,
Yeah.
they're not cut from the same cloth. I mean, some are, but
Yeah.
some aren't. Raised differently, I think,
100%.
has a big reason to do with it. But
And I think you brought up a good point. Like that's kind of how I was brought up through the industry is just sink or swim, right? And it's, certain people burn out doing that. So it's something that we're trying to learn from. And I'm trying not to teach the guys the same way as I was taught, right? And, like you said, it's certain people can hack it, but not all can. And obviously, like we're trying to target the guys that, can learn from that method just because obviously they're stronger mentally and can
Yeah.
kind of handle that extra pressure, right? So there's certain types of people we target, ex-athletes or people that have been part of teams. And typically those guys, can really handle kind of the industry as it currently is. And hopefully moving into the future, we can try to change and adapt the industry and the culture to better suit the next generation, right?
obviously, do you train in the field? But like, do you do like farm teaming, like hockey?
Try to, yeah. Yeah, like a lot of it's obviously same thing, like you're learning from the guys above you, right? But we're trying to create like a North Star University, which is we'll have like online videos and, I'll go out to site and, we'll create a video on how to properly put together a manhole, and then we'll put together like quizzes with that and just the proper video aspects so our guys can go in the winter. And it's a way for them to learn and get to that next step, right? Because what we want is a bunch of people that have that opportunity to take the next step. So a pipe layer, if he wants to be a foreman, he can go into our Northstar University and look at, these are the 5 steps that I need to know to become a foreman, right? Obviously, it's a lot more than 5 steps, but we can have a program in place to help better guide them and point them in the right direction of where they want to be, right? Because I think in this industry, I think there's so much opportunity if you want it right, but it needs to be presented in a better way where we can teach these guys the proper way of doing things and just help mentor them. Because, like you said, I don't think, when I was brought up in the industry as a pipe layer, like they didn't really teach me much.
No one
Right.
wants to teach you
No one wants
anything.
to teach you anything, right? Like my boss fear of teaching in the industry, and I think we're slowly going away from it with the newer generation coming up. But there were so many people afraid to teach people because they're afraid those people are going to take their jobs instead of seeing the bigger picture of, if I train this guy to be better than me, then I can move up and I can be the superintendent instead of the foreman, right? And it's so much of that fear of not wanting to train and not wanting to teach. And I think there's this huge skill gap now where all those guys are retired, and now there's this next generation that's 20 years old, and they don't have enough experience and they don't have enough training, right? So it's a lot of catch up, I think, that we're trying to do.
I've always said, like, I think I even did a couple posts about this back in the day. We kind of created this problem ourselves. I mean, we haven't made it easy for people to get into construction. Like, you need experience to get a job. You can't get a job unless you have experience, the whole thing. And so, like, being raised different from our parents, like, speak for myself, my dad was way too hard on me, so now I'm a big softie with my children, but I'm finding a balance between too hard and too soft. But that's not just me. Everyone kind of my age group is kind of like that, and it's like we're too soft on our kids, and like now we have a generation that doesn't want to work as hard. Some are better than others. But like we created the shit ourselves,
100%. Yeah.
I think.
I fully agree, right? And I think it's up to us to obviously try to fix that problem as a entire industry, right? It's not just about Northstar as a whole. Like obviously we want to change the culture of the industry, right? Like I think 10 or 15 years ago when I was coming into the field, like I was just a number. Like my boss didn't care. I was just, he didn't treat me like an actual human. We were just a number and just
Throwing
working
shit at
until we
you.
burn out, right?
Yeah.
I've always disagreed with that. Like I've always worked 10 times harder for a boss or an owner that actually treats me like a person and does the little things for me, right? So like at Northstar, that's one big thing that we're trying to push is just changing that culture, at least where we're at, of treating the people like actual humans, right? Like they're our biggest asset and they're so big to our company. Like they should be treated amazing. They have super hard jobs and they should be treated as such financially, being heard at our company. They should have a safe work environment and like all the little things that these big companies they took the workforce for granted. And now that we don't have a workforce, they still have that thought process of, well, why can't we get people? It's kind of because of how you treat the people, right? So it's one of our main focuses is just, treating the people right, giving them opportunity, which is huge. Like a lot of people don't get opportunities where they're at, right? They want to move up, but they don't know how, or the company's too big, so they'll never get opportunities. So I think where we're at, we're a medium-sized company that's trying to grow. Like that's our big push for growth is to give people opportunities, right? Because for me to move up, I need somebody to take my job and on down the line, right? So if a pipe layer wants to be a foreman, we want to be able to grow enough to give that pipe layer the opportunity to move up, right? If that's what they want.
Yeah.
Everyone's different, right?
There's been a power swap.
Yeah.
Before the company had the power, now the operator / worker has the power and can pick and choose who they work for.
Absolutely.
Where it was the other way around before.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's awesome. Like I think, like I said, like I think with how hard this job is, I think it's something where the people should get paid amazingly. They should be treated right.
We've all been paid pretty good. Like
it is good, right? Like the industry as a whole is good. I think the bottom end, like coming into the industry, they don't get paid that much. Where I do still think like that bottom end can come up. But yeah, for the vast majority of people, like we're in the 5 to 10 percentile in Canada for salaries. Like construction as a whole. And even take that out, like if you go up north, you're in the top 2%, right? So I do think like salary wise, it's well deserved and it should be better marketed because I think that's one of the things where people look down on construction and think, oh, I can't make a living at that, and be like, well, the vast majority of operators and foremen and guys I know make more than lawyers.
I ran a dozer, I was making as much as a doctor, man.
Exactly, right? And you're playing with a sweet ass thing that, it's a big toy. Like
it's like $1 million machine.
$1 million machine.
Depending on the size, obviously. But.
And like that's one of the things that got me into this industry. My dad obviously worked construction, but like the love of equipment, like I get so excited when I see a new piece of gear, right? Like it's awesome, right? So I think, yeah, like you said, I think just, treating the people right, and because that's how it's going to be for the time being, is like you need to treat the guys right where they want to come work for you, right?
Hmm.
Not the other way around. And I think the companies that learn that are going to be the ones that progress and move ahead in this industry. And the old guard of, not wanting to teach people and, just treating people like shit, those people are going to die off, right? Those are the companies that are going to go away and fade into the background, right?
Yeah, need to evolve with the times.
Need to evolve in the times. And the same goes with technology. Like there's so many companies that are scared of technology, and like that's the future, right? Like
Hmm.
not only it's not taking away from people's jobs. That's what people are afraid of. It's just improving the job and making it easier for, say a pipe layer or a gradesman.
Yeah.
Now they have a pogo stick that tells them everything they need to, and like it's improving everybody's job, right?
What type of relationship do you have with the average operator at Northstar?
Um, obviously, like I'm with my job, like I try to go see the guys as much as
Yeah.
possible. I like to just go, really, I'm just going to bullshit with them, right?
Yeah.
Just to see how they're doing, see if they have any issues, personally or with the company. And it's just a way for us to stay in touch with the guys. And once again, it goes back to trying to keep these guys happy, where like if I'm communicating with all the guys in the company as best as I can have that open communication and understand what their wants and needs, right? And it could be something small, like, just having more cleaner in the cab, right? It could be saying, oh, can you just make sure we have cleaner in the cab?
Yeah.
I want a clean cab. Or can I get a little shop vac to clean my cab? Okay, like it's a small expense to keep one of our mainliners happy. Why wouldn't I do that, right? So I think it's, good relationship. I think it's something that I definitely work on. It's probably one of, like, growing up, I probably wasn't the best with interpersonal relationships. So I think it's something that in my career I've tried to work on just to better, understand and communicate with the guys. I think that's the biggest part of our, industry, is just communication, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's with clients or whether it's with our own people in our own company, right? So I think it's super important to have those communication lines with the guys, right?
Question for you. Um, in your opinion, what makes a good operator?
Similar to everything that we do, it's like safety is the main thing, right? Like I want an operator that doesn't rush. I
Hmm.
want him to put, the safety of the guys in the ditch first. Because really, if he's not paying attention, if he's rushing, he's going to get somebody hurt, right? That's number one, is just being safe. Number two is the quality of the work he does, right? Does he cut in safe slopes? Is he taking his time? Is he smooth on the gear? Because I'm sure you've seen it plenty of times. There's a lot of operators that beat the shit out of gear, right? And that gets costly really quick, right? So, like, I love to see the operators that their cab spotless. Like one of our mainline operators, he has slippers he puts on. Like he doesn't even put his steel toes on. Like he's got a mat in there. He puts his slippers on. Like it is immaculate. And like we love to see that. That's $1.5 million machine. Why wouldn't we want people to treat it like, their home, right? So I think that's huge as well. Like an operator that keeps their gear clean it's amazing to see, right?
They say the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
100%.
And that, I mean, just that alone, you can judge him
Oh, yeah.
on everything else that he
Yeah.
does.
So when he's cutting his ditches, when he's placing things, like he's not the one that's scratching up the boom. He's not,
Yeah.
taking chips out of manholes. He's taking his time. There's never any issues as far as safety with him, right? So like those are the type of people that we try to emulate. And, when we're talking to other operators, we use them as a guide of where we want them to
Hmm.
be, right? Of, that's a guy to shoot for. If you want to become the top of the line operator, there's a guy to shoot for, right? Like he's the top of the echelon guy, right? So, because I do think there's a lot of guys still in this industry that just rat bag equipment, right? And you
Hmm.
go into it and there's 8 bags of chips in it and spits and stuff, right? So like coming up, it's one thing that, like, it's just a little thing, right? It's the little things. If they do the little thing right and keep their cab clean, they're probably going to do the other little things right. So
I used to chain smoke like a
yeah,
motherfucker.
yeah,
I smoked for 28 years or whatever. I've been quit for 2 years now, but my cab was clean, but I always changed like I smoked. Sorry, like I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm not the only one.
No, no. I think the vast majority of operators, a lot of them still smoke, right? So it's not, it's the little things, right? Like we're not gonna obviously, mandate no smoking in the cabs.
Yeah, yeah.
75% of our operators still smoke, right?
Operators, foremans, like
Yeah, it's a common thing, right? Like
yeah,
I used to chew, right? Like it's either chewing or smoking. I used to chew, right?
yeah.
So it's one or the other typically, but But yeah, it's just one of the things. So
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit here.
sure.
Let's talk about this beer.
Yes,
You have your own brand of beer.
we do.
Why?
Um, Variety of reasons, right? Like,
I love it. I know
yeah,
why, but
yeah.
explain.
So once again, we're trying to do things different, obviously, right? So we came up with the idea of a branded beer with, once again, kind of all the divisions of what we do on those beers. So it's something, it's a cool keepsake for our employees, right? So number one, it was a cool keepsake. We brought it out in Stampede Party, so all our guys got to have some of the beer. And so just that alone, I think it's a way to show off, what the guys do. Because I think what they do is really cool. I think all the jobs we do are really cool, and I would love to show off what they do more to the
Hmm.
public, right? So, when a guy, our grader operator in this sees this, he can show his kids, be like, that's me building something. And I think that's awesome. Like
We all love beer.
we all
I
love
mean,
beer,
I
right?
do.
Yeah. So I thought that was a cool idea of just giving the guys something to bring home with them and show their kids, be like, this is what I do. It's on a beer can. It's beer. It's delicious. And obviously the second part of that is same thing. It's a way for us to market, right? It's a way for us to get this beer out to our clients and show them, we do everything. We do paving, concrete, grading, underground, because we still have clients that are like, oh, I didn't know you did underground.
So on each one, you have a different
Yep.
division,
Different
essentially.
division.
Yep.
Yeah. So we got paving, grading, concrete, and underground. And once again, it's something where it's just to get our name out there more, right? There's people that don't know we do paving, don't know we do to underground, and it's a way for them to, if we drop a 4-pack beer, they look at it and, oh, I didn't know they did grading. Now I do, right? So
For a long time, I felt like an asshole because you brought me beer,
yeah,
and I didn't post about it. I didn't even do a story about it. I kind of forgot about it. The boys here at the office, they drank it,
yeah,
and then I saved two for
yeah,
this,
yeah,
and then you brought more. Um, but now I'm showing everyone the North Star beer,
yes.
so I'm not an
Thank
asshole
you.
anymore.
Not an asshole anymore. Yeah. No, once again, it goes back to marketing, right? So
No, I
yeah,
love you
yeah,
unique ways of doing
yeah.
things, right? Like,
It's just about being different. Like everyone's, done t-shirts, everyone's done golf balls. Like we'd rather be different, right? And this is something that will actually get used. Like how many times do you drop off a t-shirt to a client and they probably just throw it in their closet?
I did a post, I think last month actually.
Yeah.
I was in Washington, D.C. I was wearing a North Star shirt in my
Oh,
post.
thanks, man.
Golf shirt.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, if you look close, it's right here.
yeah, yeah,
So like, if I like people, I
yeah,
like wear their swag
yeah,
in posts or
yeah, yeah,
videos or something.
yeah. I do think the swag, like the beer, I think the swag is important, but not for the sake of our clients.
Right.
It's more so like I love to see it when our guys are proud to wear their brand, right? Like when we go out to a site, like I love seeing the guys every day wearing a
Hmm.
North Star hoodie or and asking for a North Star hoodie or a hat or a shirt. Like I think it just shows that they're proud of where they work. I think they're when they ask for it and want it, I love it, right? Show they're part of their team, right?
There's something about that, like it's building culture within
Yeah,
the company itself, and like people like to be a part of something.
100%.
Human
Yeah,
nature, whatever. Um, so it all kind of goes together.
100%. Yeah,
And I love wearing uh, other people's swag that I
yeah,
support and stuff like that, right? I'm proud to like either work with them or be friends with them or
yeah,
whatever, right? So when I worked at Kidco, all I wore was Kidco shirts. I had
yeah,
like 10 of them.
yeah.
I mean, they also make good work shirts,
Of
but
course, yeah,
now that I don't work there, I wear them all the time.
yeah,
And I wear North Star stuff,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
everyone else, I wear all this different stuff. So
Yeah, my
yeah,
girlfriend always makes fun of me because she's like, "Do you just only have North Star wardrobe?" And I was like, "Well, 10 or 15 shirts, that's about it, right?" But
and it's also free, and like you don't have to leave work to go shopping or
yeah,
like whatever, right?
yeah, yeah, it's
So
just in my office. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think it's like you said. I think it's just all works together with culture, right? Like it's all the little things of, giving the guys nice gear, and it's got to be nice. Like if you give them a shitty hat, no one's gonna wear that.
No
It's
one
got to
cares.
be good
It's
quality.
like a slap in the face.
Exactly
Here's your
right.
shitty hat for the year.
Exactly right. So like this year we got all of our foremans like big Yeti mugs with North Star and then
Hmm.
their names engraved on the back. Like it's little things like that where yeah, it's a little bit more expensive mug, but at least they'll actually use it and want to keep it and it's a nice product for them, right?
If I was an operator today
Yeah.
and I could choose anywhere to work, I would look for a company that does extra stuff because I can make money at any company.
Yeah.
That's easy. Show up and do your job. It's really that simple. But like when the power's in my hands, I can like, oh, they have a box for hockey, or they give out tons of swag, or they care about me and want to know about my life and give me
100%.
time off to deal with my family issues, or like there's a million different things, right? So
Yeah.
I think everyone, like you said before, needs to get on board and just like adapt to the new construction evolution, or the way that it's going, or like you're gonna have no employees.
No employees, right? And you brought up a good point of like even the guys giving the guys off time. Like 15 years ago when I was 18 now, whatever it was, like there was no time off. Like in this summer, there's no time off. Like you're working, right? And like
Long weekend to long weekend.
long weekend, and it is something like obviously with schedules, like there's certain things we try to hit, and there's the odd long weekend will work, but it is something where if the guys need to take time off, we'll try to figure it out, right? We'll
Hmm.
like even talk to our supers, like one of our mainliners had to take 2 weeks off to go see family, right? And like we figure it out. Like there's ways to figure it out and bring them back. And like you said, it's the little things of like that's super important that they go see their family. Like why would we say no? Right? Like why would we say no? We can figure it out. We'll find a substitute for 2 weeks and bring them
Hmm.
back, right? So I think just once again it goes back to just treating them like humans. Like there was too long in this industry where people just weren't treated like humans, right?
Yeah.
You're a number and that's all you were, right? So
I think it was last week. I was in Minnesota.
yeah.
I'll have them on as guests too, but just a little sneak peek for you.
Yeah.
Something they do, which is amazing. First time I ever heard this, they give their employees the morning off to take their kids to first day of school,
That's a really cool
like
idea.
grade one,
Yeah.
like small kids, right?
Yeah.
I missed all that shit.
Yeah.
Working construction,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that I wish I could go back and change time on.
100%. Yeah.
I love my children,
Yeah.
as we all do. I wish I could go back and change that. And like construction, although it paid me very good, it stole that from me.
I think construction will change more where even the hours probably will lessen. And
Mhm.
we'll probably, like, if we get back to a point where we have a big enough workforce where we can lessen those hours and still get the job done with just more people, like, I think it's the way it'll probably have to go in the future, just to give people more of that work-life balance. Because especially with COVID, like, so many people realized, oh, I want more of a work-life balance, right? Even the people in the office, not us specifically, but if you talk about guys working downtown in the oil and gas, they're doing 50-50 working from home and working from the office, right?
Yeah.
And more people want that work-life balance so they can have time with their kids, right? So I do think it's something where, that the 12-hour days, 6-day weeks will probably lessen sooner or later in construction, right? Which it's tough where we live because we have a limited time frame on, our when we can work, right?
Yeah. Seasonal, like
It's
super seasonal.
We're not living in Arizona where we can
Yeah.
work year round, right? So it does make it a little trickier, but I do think it's a future where at least to give those guys that option of more of a work-life balance, I think some people will probably take it, right? And some people want to work the hours. Like there's still people that
Yeah.
want to work huge
Well,
hours, right?
yeah, like in construction, we make most of our money
Yeah.
with overtime. At least I did.
Yeah.
I have learned that money's not everything.
No.
That's why I quit construction to follow my dream and do what I've been doing. Man, I was broke for years.
Yeah.
Sleeping in my car.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't tell anybody. Like it looked like I was doing amazing online,
Yeah.
but I was sleeping in my car. I
Yeah.
couldn't buy food, and I was going all around the country and shit. But
Yeah.
it's broke.
Grinded.
But my freedom and my peace that came with that was worth more than money.
Yeah.
I was making good money at the end of it.
Yeah.
But I had time to deal with I drove my kids to school every day. Not last year, the year before. I drove them to school every morning for an entire year.
Yeah.
Trying to make up for those times when I couldn't bring them to school for their first day of school.
Yeah. Which must have been amazing.
It was amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Now they're big. They're teenagers. They don't want to hang out with dad
Yeah.
so much. 13 and 16, so.
But I'm sure once they're our age, they'll actually appreciate that time
Totally.
you took
Yeah,
off, right?
yeah, I know for sure. So
Right.
I just learned the whole point of that spiel was it's not all about money.
No. And you chase the dream, right? Like I think like a lot of us that came kind of after you and like saw what you did, I think it was like I obviously followed you for a while, and
Yeah.
guys like yourself, I think it was amazing what you did for the industry of just
I was trying. I mean,
trying, right? And you still are. Look at what you're building now, where I think it's what you're doing is like huge for our industry of showcasing, what it's all about, right? Like showcasing that it's actually really good job, right? It's, you get paid well if you're into building things and get that sense of, satisfaction from building something. Like it's the job for you, right? Like you actually get to, show your kids, look at, I helped build that. Like there's a sense of pride with that, right?
Yes, it is a good job,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to promote that. But at the same time, I want to talk a little bit about reality of what it was like for me.
Yeah.
It was hard as hell.
Yeah.
It was not
100%.
fun.
No.
Like, it was brutal.
Yeah.
And that's why people didn't want to work construction.
Yep.
No
100%.
one will teach you anything. No one's going to help you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to miss everything. I got divorced for a couple reasons.
Yeah.
Me working so much is one of them.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so hard. There's so much I actually hate about construction.
Yeah.
Those parts that I hate are getting better. That's what's evolving into all the stuff that we're discussing now.
100%.
When it has to be right, you can trust Leica Technology to help you get the job done and grow your business with their cutting-edge technology. Training employees is challenging and expensive, but Leica's simple to learn, simple to use products allow you to get your workforce up to speed much faster. Trust me when I say Leica Machine Control will help you move more dirt more efficiently. For more information on Leica Geosystem Solutions, please visit leica-geosystems.com.
I didn't have a passion for construction. I had a passion for machinery. That's how I began doing all of this.
Yeah.
Trying to show my passion to the world. And along the way, I was like, hey, I kind of have a voice. Might as well do something productive with it.
Yeah.
Was it positive? And so I began posting, teaching people about construction and how to be an operator and positive things based around that. And for me, that evolved and it is to this day. I mean, I took a bit of a break. I stood back a little bit. There was all these other influencers. I hate that term.
Yeah.
I hate them too. They're trying to do whatever they're doing, which is fine. So I backed off because I didn't want to do what they were doing. I want to do my own thing, which I'm getting ready to come back and do.
Yeah.
So yeah, for a long time I was trying to teach people about being operators, about construction, about stuff that actually matters and being relatable so other operators can,
It doesn't come off as cheesy.
It doesn't come off as cheesy,
exactly.
right? So you talk the talk, you should walk the walk. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was at. So my plan is to continue helping construction in as many ways as I can. I still have a voice, so I'm going to bring that back a little bit, and here we are.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think construction was, super hard, and I'm not gonna lie, there's still hard parts to it, right? But I think the exciting part is seeing where the construction industry can be brought and changed, right? Like, that's what excites me about it is, that's what I'm passionate about is trying to change it. And, our focus right now is at Northstar, right? Like, I think the group of people we have are all like-minded and want to grow, and with growth comes opportunity for everyone, but also to change that culture of treating people right and giving people opportunities and all the things that go along with trying to change this industry, right? Embracing new methods, embracing new technologies, because once again, there's still people that'll see your videos or see other companies post on social media. They're like, oh, they're giving away trade secrets. I'm like, what trade secrets are we giving away here? Like, there's nothing where people don't know about. Like, you're digging the ditch the same as we are. Like, so there's still a little bit of that mentality of being afraid of showing what we do to the
I
public,
know.
and which still blows my mind of what are you talking about? Like, it's if anything, we need to showcase it more, right?
Absolutely.
But that's once again goes to the mindset of those bigger, older companies that they might just not change and they'll die off, where newer companies will come up and actually treat their people right and try to change how we do construction, right? Try to change, the unfortunate negative connotations with construction and try to make it a positive one, right? Try to make it a positive career where people can, have a great life and have a work-life balance and feel like they're, part of a team, right? Or part of a company that's doing something, right? And I think that's the biggest part. Doesn't matter what you do in a company, you have to feel like you're part of it. You have to feel like you're heard. And I think those are, the biggest points of what I look for in a company is I want to be part of something that, we can actually affect change and build something together as a team, right? And that's what excites me about like guys like yourself that are helping make those changes, right?
Trying to help, like,
Trying to help, right? And it's going to take time. Like everything, it took us a long time to get to this point of screwing up the industry. It's going to take a hell of a long time to fix it, in my opinion.
there was this guy that had some scrapers, and I was gonna film some stuff for him. He's like, I don't want to show that I have scrapers. It's like, I don't want the guy across the street to know I'm moving dirt cheaper with scrapers, because like he's gonna buy some scrapers and do it for the same as me. It's like, you understand, scrapers are like 100 years old, right? Like, not 100, but however old. It's like everyone knows about scrapers. They know what they do.
Yes.
I mean, good luck trying to find a scraper operator anyway.
Yes. Yeah. That's the bigger problem is the people.
That's the
not
bigger problem.
equipment. Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, that's so funny. And what else was I thinking of? Trade secrets. Shit. Oh, going into training. So the big companies, not big, some smaller, whatever, they don't want to provide training to operators. As we all know, operators bounce around. But it's like if every construction company invested in their people, they would be trained and jump around.
Yes.
You would have trained people all the time.
Like I know they have the operator, that
It was just a joke.
Exactly, right. It needs to be way more in depth, way longer. Because whenever we see those guys, we're like, they know nothing about operating machines.
Here's the problem. I didn't think I was going to bring this up in this episode, but shit, let's talk about it right now. The schools think like this. They're like, there's more people we can essentially get money from if we provide them 5 courses. Loader, excavator, dozer, blah, 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 whatever it may be. Because their thoughts is, I have 5 chances of getting a job. 5 chances to get the job, but you have 0 chance keeping that job because like you're not learning enough on each machine. You're a master of none. So like, school needs to train a dozer operator to be nothing but a dozer operator. So when he gets to site, he can actually not only get that job, he can hold that job.
Yeah.
And that's why I have such big beef with these equipment schools. It's like false hope. Take your money.
Like I would rather get to a point where even those training courses are going through a company, right? Like we're bringing in, instead of that guy going and taking that course, he comes in and actually is with our crew and is being mentored by a dozer operator. And obviously they're not going to get full 12-hour day seat time off the bat because we still need to hit productions. We still need to get the job done. But even if it's something where he's sitting with that operator learning.
That's how I learned.
Exactly, right?
So lunchtime for free.
At lunchtime for free because you wanted to learn it. Because you had a passion. Right. Like, I want to move up into being a dozer operator or an excavator operator, right? But if we created an internal program within companies where we've got those spots open on a crew, but once again, it needs to be kind of an industry-wide thing, because we're still bidding against 10 other guys to get a job. And if I allow for 2 extra spots on our crew, guess who's not getting any of the work, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of the problem in this industry is where, we're all our own worst enemies because we're all bidding against each other for the lowest bid. So we're not thinking, we want to train 5 guys on this crew, so we're going to allow for 5 guys to sit on this crew for a year to learn. We're like, no, our competitors are going to do it with 5 guys. We need to do it for 5 guys or else our 5 guys don't stay busy. And once again, I want to keep our people busy at the end of the day.
Sometimes you just bid for cost just to keep them working.
100%, right? And once again, like I'd rather keep our guys busy, food in their mouths, food on their plate, than them sitting at home, right? So we'll do things for cost. Absolutely. Absolutely, right? So we always talk about it. Like we're definitely our own worst enemy in this industry, where we're still dropping our margins every year because we're like, no, we want that job more than our competitors. So we're going to do it for 2% less, right? And it's just that constant cyclical, economy that we're in, where we're just wanting more work. And once again, it needs to be an industry solution, I think, where we all get together and, come up with a plan to, properly create a training method to get more people in our workforce.
I understand why they picked the lowest bidder, but I don't think they should always pick the lowest bidder. You should look at like maybe the company, the reputation, history, blah, 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 mixed with the price.
100%. And like certain jobs do go that route
They do.
where there is that qualification where it's weighted on percentages where it'll be 50% based on your past experience, 50% based on price, that sort of breakdown. So there is certain jobs like that. There's obviously just not enough, unfortunately. And the unfortunate part with that is, let's say, the PM of the client is married to the owner of one of the companies. There could be potential to be nothing to do with any of the other guys, and they just get the job. So it does allow for that influence of not necessarily who's best for the job, which is the unfortunate part, right? So it's got to be something where if there is, that sort of route went, it's got to be checks and balances, right? Where it's, there's a board of people making those decisions.
Does this happen in Calgary here?
Yeah, so the city of Calgary does have pre-qual process. So like right now, like there's a pre-qual list where, there's 10 contractors allowed to bid on certain types of work, right? So it does weed out some of those low bid guys that are just pop-ups, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there still is like on the bigger jobs, even with the city of Calgary, they will do that percentage based, which is good because it still, it still cuts out some of those guys that don't really know what they're doing. But all your developers, they don't do anything like that. They low bid for the most part. There's obviously some clients that are negotiated with, ourselves or other contractors, and they only go and get prices from us because they understand what we provide to them, right? But I'd say that's depending on the contractor, that's, either a small percentage. I think some of the older companies, it's probably a larger percent of their work is just negotiated, where they've got that 50 million a year that's all negotiated, so they don't really have to worry about bidding work as much as some other companies, right? So, but it is a wide variety of like what's being bid, whether it's negotiated or city work where you're indemnified or just straight private. But yeah, it's something where it's an interesting question and interesting conversation that we have all the time because it's City Calgary used to be open tender where you would go in and open up an envelope and everyone around the table would read out their numbers, right? And they went away from that now where you don't get any of that information. You just know who got the job, right? So it's interesting to see kind of where that's going, but
Let's talk a bit about Northstar social media.
sure. What do you want to know?
Everything.
Everything.
What do you want to tell me? That's the real question.
Social media wise, like we previously discussed, I see it as a way to show off what the guys do. I mean, that's the main thing is like I like to just show the guys what they can do. Like I think what we do is a very cool thing. I think they build very cool things, and I just want to show it off. I wanted them to be able to go home and show their kids, look at that's me running that machine today, or that's me in the ditch putting together that pipe. Like I think that's a cool opportunity for them to do, and it's a cool way for us to showcase, what they're capable of doing, right? So the main thing is that, obviously, the second and smaller because, I don't really know how much it actually helps is the marketing aspect, right? Like it's a way for us to get our name out there, marketing wise. I don't know, if it does help.
It's hard to track.
It's hard to track, right?
It does help.
It's a very hard thing to track. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't put a number to it and be like, oh, we got that job because of marketing. Who knows, right? But that's why I see it more of a cool way to get our name out there and just showcase what we can do, right? When we have a cool project, do a drone video of it just to show, other competitors or, our clients what we are actually capable of doing. Because maybe people at that other company want to do jobs like that. Now they want to come to work for us, right? Because they see, oh, I didn't know they did jobs like that. Maybe I want to go do that with them, right? So
I think a big thing is recruitment.
yeah,
I mean, if you look like an amazing company, I mean, I sure hope you are an amazing company if
Yeah.
you look like one.
Yeah.
But like, you're gonna attract talent.
and that's also part of it, right? Like it's attracting the next generation, and more so because obviously the older generation less on social media,
Yeah.
but it's such a huge part of the next generation. So yes, we do use it as recruiting. Once again, I don't know if I could put a number to what it actually
Yeah,
is
no,
doing, but
it's not.
I think we're still in the infancy. Like, do another 20 years, and I'm sure it'll be a far larger impact on what we do for sure. And once again, it goes back to I think the companies that don't do it and are afraid to do it. I think those are the companies that are gonna, it's gonna hurt them in the long run, to be honest. and obviously I don't, it once again goes back to I'm not looking to help them, but as an industry, I think it's important. Like from what I see from them, it comes off as unauthentic a lot of the times because it's somebody that is either like a social media coordinator that doesn't have a clue of what we do, and they're just going out there and taking snapshots, and it's like, hey, here's our guys, and there's no authenticity to it. Like they're not actually proud of what they're doing. It's just
Well, they don't even know what to talk about.
they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing, and it just to me it comes off as just unauthentic and
Yeah, no, I hate it.
really they're just checking a box of like, oh, we have to do social media. So us as a company,
And they wonder why it's not working or like
Yeah.
why it's not growing.
totally. And there's no interaction, right? Like that's also a big part of why I like it. Like our guys will message me on it, and like it's just a way for me to communicate more with our guys too, right? Because half the time I'm messaging with our own guys about videos, or they're sending me pictures, videos, right? So I think it's another thing for us to just have that communication corridor with our guys, right? But and for like you said, for future recruits, like there's tons of guys messaging us just about, oh, what is that? What's that do?
Mhm.
Or like, oh, I didn't know you guys did it that way. We do it this way. And like, I've learned a bunch of stuff from guys in the US just messaging, right? Or they're like, we do it this way. And I'm like, oh, that's a very interesting way to do it, right?
That stuff is going to stick with people, and like the funniest things can happen from social media. Like, for example, let me try and think of one. There's been times when I did a post about something, and 5 years later, I was down in the USA, and a guy walks up to me. He's like, "Oh, you talked about this thing on the
Yeah.
one post, and like it always stuck with me." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like the same kind of stuff can happen with posts that you're putting out there.
For sure.
Like, yeah, sure, you're not making money from it directly, like with clients or whatever,
Yeah.
but like you're impacting people's lives. That's a pretty cool thing.
Very cool. Right. And I love it just because, once again, I think us as a group, we're passionate about what we do. So like I loved even looking at your stuff. Like that's all I do at night is, when I'm going to bed, I'm just
I don't
flicking
post
through.
very much anymore.
Yeah, you and other people, right? Like there's just you and all the other construction guys and companies that are posting things. Like that's all I do, and I'm sending it to the guys I work with. Be like, oh, this is cool. Look at this machine, or look at look at this 24 inch. Like all the if I see a big iron or like an open pit, 5500 hoe or shovel, like I'm like, oh, look at that. Like just it's cool stuff. Right?
What's your biggest hoe in Northstar? 870?
Yeah, 870. Yeah.
G?
Yeah.
You like it? I mean,
Love
you
it.
don't run it, but
Yeah, I don't run it. Yeah, I'm
I mean,
not
it's
allowed.
sexy. No.
Sexy as hell, yeah. No, obviously I love it.
You have one or two or
One for now, yeah. So obviously, like, yeah, where we want to go, we want to get bigger and
Yeah.
do bigger stuff, right? Like, there's nothing we wouldn't try. Which is what once again excites me is, having that entrepreneurial mindset of our owner of, he wants to grow to give us all opportunities, right?
Let's talk about Steve a little bit.
Sure.
You gonna talk shit or?
No, I talk shit to him every day, so he's probably sick.
I know.
Yeah, he
I'm
loves
kidding.
when I talk shit to him for sure. Yeah.
Well, let's hear about Steve a little bit.
So yeah, just once again, there's a reason why I think so many people work at Northstar is because of a guy like him. Like he's an entrepreneur, and I think he wants to create this company that is constantly growing to give guys like myself opportunities and anyone that does want an opportunity, right? And that's what he beats into myself at least of, with growth comes opportunity for anyone that wants it, right? And it's got to be the right person. Like I'm not gonna give opportunity for somebody that's putting in 6-hour days and not passionate about what we do. But for the people that are passionate about what we do and want opportunities, we want to give those people the opportunities to grow and manage their own divisions or manage their own crews, right? So with growth comes opportunity, and I think like the core group we have and that we're building is a bunch of savages that want to grow and want to adapt and create like a new industry, or not a new industry, but kind of a new construction, methodology where we're embracing technology and embracing new ways of treating the guys and, all the stuff we always talk about of trying to change this industry. I think we have a group of guys that are all kind of on the same mindset, right? And I think we're constantly trying to add to that of looking for guys like Steve that are entrepreneurial that want to grow, right? Like I'm not happy in my job right now. Like I shouldn't say like love my job, but I want to grow, right? Like I want to take the next step, and I'm not happy if I stay in this career.
You're not good enough.
I'm
Just
I'm never happy with,
Yeah.
you know, being at this plateau. Like there's always that next step that I want to take, and we want a bunch of people like that to work with us, because same thing, like if I want to grow and take the next step, we need a bunch of people to do the same thing, right? So I think he fosters that kind of thought process and allows for it, right? Like he's not the type of guy that's going to be you know, over my shoulder watching me every day. Like he expects me to do my job, and he kind of expects everyone to do that, but he'll let us try to build and grow this company, and he's there as a guy that's trying to help us do that, right? And I think that's what excites him too, right? Like he obviously doesn't want to stay the same size. He wants to grow as well,
Mhm.
right? So I think that's truly what gets me out of bed is, you know, that growth opportunity and that opportunity to change and be part of growing a company, right? And changing it.
How big does he want to get?
Sky's the limit. There's no limit, right?
I know, but like, so I ask because, like, for myself, I want to grow too, which I am,
Yeah.
but
Why set a ceiling?
bigger doesn't mean better, and it doesn't mean more money. Some cases
But it's not about the money.
no, I know,
Which
but
is
I'm just
like,
saying.
yeah,
Like-
like Steve, it's not about the money for him. It's about giving us opportunities. So if there's 30 guys that want to grow and take that next step, for us to give those 30 guys opportunities, we need to grow,
I got you.
right? Without growth, those 30 guys are going to go to other companies,
I have never looked at it that way.
right? And that's the sole reason we try to grow is we've got so many people that are passionate about what we do and that are driven, that want to grow. We need to grow to give them opportunity, right? Like we have underground supers that want to be at 10 or 12 crews, right? With that growth, we need 10 or 12 crews so they can take the next step up,
Mhm.
right? So it's just about growth to give people opportunity and to grow with the company and to make their dreams come true, because they, you know, they want to run their own division one day. Let's figure out a way to do that, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with, you know, I started as a laborer. Like my thought as a laborer was move my way up. I want every other laborer that wants to move up in this company to be able and capable to do it, and us to facilitate that growth, right?
Mhm.
And once again, if they just want to stay in that position, that's fine too. But for the people that want growth and want to build a company and help build a company, we want to give that opportunity, right?
Mhm.
And that's the sole reason of growth. It's not about more money. It's not about any of that. It's about giving these people opportunity, because once again, most people just want a place to be heard and a place to be able to shape a company, right?
Yeah.
Like every person, you know, the people we target are typically people like that, but we typically are talking to people that are at bigger companies, and they're just like, I've been here 10 years and they don't listen to anything I say. I've brought up this many good ideas, and whether it's a good idea or not, you still want to be there and at least hear it. And they're like, they don't hear any of these ideas. I'm just a number. And I'm like, okay, like that's the problem with those big companies. They are at a cap. They're at their 150 million and they're happy there. Like, why be happy there? Why not want to grow? Why not go to a different market, right? But people get set in their ways of like, we're just happy being here. And I'm personally not. Like, I would love to grow further. And that's why I said I don't think there's ever a ceiling, because the more and more people you get that are savages that want to grow and build something, the more and more you're going to need to grow to let them grow with your company, right? But that's kind of how we see it. So
What's your thoughts on Dirt Life podcast?
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome.
What do you want to see? Like,
From you?
yeah.
I want to see everything that you're currently doing, right? Like once again, like I've followed you for a while, and I think, like, as far as what I saw from you was somebody that was passionate about what you do, or else why do it, right? And that's kind of why, like, that's why I push to do social media for Northstar and like bring that into what we do, is just because I wanted to showcase what our guys are
I
capable.
see your TikToks every day.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like I'm super passionate about what we do, and like I guess you know, I'm attracted, or like I more so like you know, want to reach out to guys like yourself that are also passionate about what we do, right? Like it's like-minded people, right? Like I'm more so, you know, the people that are, you know, the comments saying like, oh, you know, when you ask somebody how their day's going, they're like, oh, just living the fucking dream. Like, you don't know how many times I've heard that for like old school guys.
Every day.
It's exhausting. And I'm like, you know what? I am fucking living my dream. Like, I love what I do. So like I more so gravitate to somebody like yourself that, from what I see and what we talked about, is passionate about what we do and passionate about changing things. So like I love what you're doing about building this brand and changing it, and you're constantly adapting and taking the next step of the evolution of what construction can be, which is podcasts. Like 10 years ago, a construction podcast, like no one would, people would have laughed at you, be like, what the fuck?
No, everyone's doing them, and that's why I
For sure.
didn't want to do them until now.
But do it differently, which is what you're always doing, right? And like that's what I think is so important, is just being differently and thinking outside the box. And that's why I, you know, I think this is awesome. That's why I follow your stuff daily, and that's why I follow everyone else's stuff.
Well, I don't post daily anymore.
Yeah,
Busy doing other shit.
you're doing important shit, you know.
Being a boss.
Yeah, being a boss. Yeah. So I think it's huge for the industry, and I think it's awesome. Like I said, I love what I do, and I want other people to love it too, right? Because I think it's a great job, and I just want other people to do it. I'm sick of people that are saying, yeah, I'm living the fucking dream, being sarcastic, be like, get the fuck out of here then. Like, quit. If you don't love it, quit. Because there's enough people that do love it, and I want to be around people that are just happy to be at work. Right? That's the most important part. It's just like,
this is exactly what I want the podcast to be. That real, raw shit that no one wants to say.
Yeah. Like
I love that.
Yeah. It's one of the most exhausting things, where it's just getting rid of people like that, because they're cancerous, really. They're just negative.
They ruin the entire crew mojo.
The entire culture of the company, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's why I love the people I work with now, where I'm just like, all of them are passionate, and we're constantly adding to that. And like, obviously there's hard days, but at the end of the day, if we're still just happy what we're doing, and it's easy to get along with the people, and they're passionate about what we do, we'll succeed, right? That's kind of the key. I just got a new truck, and I put on 20,000 in like 2 months, I think, so, which is pretty decent.
Got the Ford Platinum.
Yes. The
Some
owner,
pimp shit right there.
the owner treats me very well, so I can't be thankful enough. But yes, it's a beautiful truck.
So what's next for you at Northstar, or what do you want?
So obviously similar to what Steve wants. Like, I want us to grow and do new things, right?
But like in your position,
Obviously, you know, I'm still new. This is my second year, so I think I have.
you've only been here 2 years.
In this current role.
Oh,
Current role. This is my 10th year at Northstar, but obviously I have a ton to learn about just my current role. Like I fuck up every day, and just trying to learn from those fuck ups and be better at it, right? So I still think, I've got so much to learn, and obviously you never stop learning in any role, but obviously, the next step would be, you know, going up a level in the general manager role, or kind of taking on more from Steve, right? So that's my goal once we grow more, right? But I still have so much to learn in my current role, right? So it's so much to learn, right? But yeah, as far as Northstar, like we talked about, I don't think there's a ceiling of where we want to be, and that's the people we want. If we want people to bring business cases to us of doing different things, right? Like, there's so much in this industry that we could be doing that we're not doing yet, right? Like, why stop at just a one-stop shop for shit civil? Why not do more, right?
Yeah.
Like, how cool it would be to go do a mine? That'd be awesome, right? Like, we'll figure it out. Like, that's all cool stuff to do, right? So I don't think there's a ceiling of where we want to be. Like, look at Leadcore, for instance. Like, they've become a $1 billion company from 20 million in 40 years, 50 years. They're not that old of a company, right? So like, there is companies out there that have pulled it off, right? That have done it, and that do really. Leadcore goes around the world and does stuff, right? Like, how cool would it be to go to Hawaii, a new project, right? Like,
you just got a bid on them.
Just got a bid on it, yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot.
Bid's going to be expensive because you need to haul everything there.
Of course, right? But yeah, there's obviously, sky's the limit. We want gravel pits, we want asphalt plants, we want everything that goes along with it, right? So
you do asphalt too, right?
we do, yeah. We don't have our own aggregate and asphalt plants yet, but they're asphalt yet. One day. But once again, that's all stuff that still excites us, right? Is finding those opportunities and being able to grow the company and get those new sectors or new divisions, right?
What's your favorite thing about construction?
Ooh, great question. I think it's just being a part of, it's always felt to me like I grew up playing hockey. It gives me that same feeling, to be honest, like being
Of a team.
of a team, right? And I've done other jobs and it doesn't feel this way. Like, they're just real guys that are fun to be around, and girls. Like, we have, obviously, yeah, it's a good mix, right? And there's more and more women coming into this industry, which is awesome to see. But it's just it gives you that feeling of a team that's all working towards something, that's building something, and like being able to build something is like it's what I've always loved to do. Like as a kid building a Lego, it's the same thing. You're building something, right?
Yeah.
And like that's what I've always loved to doing is building stuff. When I was a kid, I would build roads in my backyard, and now the roads have gotten bigger, and I'm, obviously, unfortunately, not running the equipment on, but yeah, it's still something that excites me, right? So, and I think it's been in my family. Like my dad did it, my uncles did it, so since I was 5, I've been always been around it. So I think it's something where you just gain that appreciation for it and passion for it, right? And you can see all it put food in my family my whole life because of my dad. Like I think it's a great industry, right? So it's exciting.
Do you
And
run,
all the new toys are amazing. So
do you run, well, I know you don't run them, but can you run machines? Like, have you run?
I have, yeah. I'm dog shit at it now, but
Well, that's fine.
yeah, so when I was 18, I worked in the field for a while till I think I was 25. So I could run loader and excavator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sad when I get in them now. So there is a video of me in a hoe from last year digging a test hole, and yeah, it's pretty slow and pretty disgusting for all our operators to watch. So they got a good laugh out of it. But
I suck on 2 machines.
yeah,
Backhoe, like
okay.
not a track hoe,
Which
an
is
actual
all
backhoe,
tricky.
fucking tractor
Yeah,
with other parts,
yeah.
and a loader. I
Loader.
suck.
It's like that's the first thing you learn on.
I hate them.
Oh my God. Can you run grader though?
Yeah, I can run grader.
Okay, that's like,
I mean, I'm not the
yeah.
best. So like, I made a special point to learn how to run everything,
Okay.
but I didn't want to be the master of none. So my
Yes.
focus was on dozer and hoe.
Okay. Fair enough. But have you run paver and Gamaco?
No.
See, you might need to come do that for us. Just get a tape. Then you can say you run everything. Because those, like the Gamaco.
Well, no, I don't run
I
everything.
know, I-
If it has controls, I can run it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I was, I guess, better at the loader because that was basically the first thing I was put on. Well, roller, obviously, that's the first thing I think we all kind of get on.
I
but-
began on a skid steer.
Did
and
you?
That's when I fell in love with.
Okay. I do love skid steer. That was one of
Yeah.
my favorite.
I still like it too.
Super fun. Super fun. And then did a loader and then did a little bit of hoe, but just loading trucks. Like I wasn't digging ditch or anything. So
Yeah.
just basically loading trucks. So I could load a truck, but now it's even worse. But yeah, even seeing like some of our equipment, like our Gamaco, it looks like rocket science to me when you see the control panel. It's just ridiculous. So like some of the machines, I'm just like, what the fuck is this? And it's getting more and more like that with technology, right? Like seeing the technology that's integrated into some of these machines. But
Mhm.
it is very cool, and it is obviously simpler than it looks. Like as far as like the GPS component isn't as intricate as it looks like, but it does look
Yeah.
pretty wild sometimes. But yeah.
So, without saying which brand of machine control you
Yes.
you use machine control.
We use machine
like-
control, yeah.
Why?
Oh, for a million different reasons, obviously. Obviously, it does help productions, right? You can just go quicker. It's simple. It's also something. It's more safety, like safety as far as like us putting down exactly what we need to put down. There's less of that human component where there's less human error, I guess, right? So an operator can go out there with a less skilled operator and do the same job as like a finished grader operator in certain scenarios, right? Like obviously your finished operators are still the top dogs, but technology does bring in a little bit of that. We can bring in younger guys and newer guys and still get good production out of them. But yeah, for certain, it depends on the machine. Like for a grader, it's production, it's putting down exactly what we want to put down, and it's also about just being able to bring in less skilled operators. For our Conquer machine, it's allowing us to do things that Conquer machine could never do before. So we're doing concrete islands that no one's ever been able to do a bull nose that small before, and that's just strictly the technology behind it. So it does allow us to do something that none of our competitors can do, which speeds up schedule. It allows us to do it with less guys, things like that, right? So there is pros and cons. Obviously, there's cons with technology. Like there's still issues with it, obviously, right? It's not perfect. If we're a meter beside a warehouse, like we're still gonna have connectivity issues, right?
Mhm.
So there's still issues with it like anything. But yeah, I think as far as like the industry as a whole, like I'd love every one of our machines to have it. That could use it, right? I think it's so important. We just got one of our dozers on it. So that's super, super good too. Same with dozers, like or dirt work guys, it would make no sense why everyone doesn't have it in dirt work. Like everyone should have their whole fleet in it, in my opinion, just because it's you're wide open spaces, you're not working around buildings, like you're not gonna have that connectivity issue where you're getting signals blocked and all that. But so I do think like dirt work guys should absolutely use it. And guys like ourselves, like I would love to have it on every equipment we can sooner or later, right? But it does, yeah, there's still things to be ironed out with it, but it is amazing to see what it can do for sure. Because it is like you have people that are, using it for paving and milling now, and like especially for like that for like highway jobs, like you start getting bonuses with that stuff, right? Like for your smoothness profile, like your profile graphs. So like we haven't done it just because we aren't doing highways, but there's guys out in BC that are using it.
I filmed some of
Yeah,
them.
you worked with those guys, right? So I like it clearly you can see that how much it's impacting their type of work, right? Because they're probably, they're probably surpassing all their competitors that have been around 5 times longer than them just because they embraced that technology and took that risk, right? So
It's a risk and a huge investment,
huge
but
risk, huge
dude,
investment.
it's paying off.
100%, right? And at least for them, you can see the potential bonus impact, right? Like, because they're getting bonuses on their smoothness. They're getting
It's
bonuses.
the smoothest highway in Vancouver. It was phenomenal.
Exactly. And they probably got bonus. Like all those AT jobs are, British Columbia transportation. You get bonuses on the smoothness, which there's obviously you can put a number to that technology then, right? Where for us, if we're doing
Return on investment.
yeah,
Stuff,
exactly, right? Where if we're doing a warehouse, we don't have that, financial dollar figure because no one in the city of Calgary, unfortunately, is at that point yet where they're bonusing out based on smoothness or they're bonusing out on any of that stuff yet. I think we'll get there, but yeah, it's definitely one of the exciting things about our industry is just seeing the potential, right? And I think some of the guys you've dealt with, like the semi-autonomous guys, like that's very cool technology.
It is cool.
You have one guy in an office running 8 loaders for 8 different asphalt plants. Like that is cool, right? Like what is it,
Teleo, yeah.
Teleo, like that's a very cool technology that I saw down at Con Expo where I was like, this has so many applications if you're willing to.
Let's talk about Con Expo a little bit. So you've been there once, twice?
Been there once.
Last year?
This year, yeah.
Or this year?
Yeah, whatever.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been all over this
Yeah,
year,
you've been,
so
yeah.
don't know what year's what anymore. Yeah, how was it?
Amazing, yeah. Yeah, it's like a kid in a candy store, right? Like it's just getting to see all the newest technologies and newest equipment and kind of all the prototypes. I thought it was amazing, right? And potentially, like there was obviously you're just bumping into like-minded people, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's cool for networking. I think a lot of people just use it as a big piss up, which I didn't necessarily do that just because I'm not a huge drinker, but I more so use it just to see kind of how all the newest technology and newest equipment out there, but it was really cool.
What stood out?
I think the main one was the semi-autonomous / autonomous equipment. Like seeing a dozer with no operator is really neat to see. Obviously, the application's not fully dialed in yet. Like we won't see it probably in our industry for a while, but to just see that the technology's out there now and to see, the strides they've made in just a short time is very, very cool to see. Like even open pit mines do it, right? Like there's semi-autonomous mines in Canada right now.
That's what mostly, I mean, it's good for a lot of things, but to be realistic, like it's good for slot dozing,
Yes.
straight line
100%.
type stuff,
Yep.
not around people
No.
or objects and
No.
moving.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to get there, but
It's
we're
going to get there in the future. Exactly, right? And that's kind of what I took away from it was this technology is amazing, but for our specific construction, not there yet, but it will be, of course, right? Same thing, like we're doing utility upgrades in Calgary right now, and you're digging around gas mains and existing water mains. Like there's no way you could run a GPS hoe and have any benefit at all because you've got 13 pipes you're working around, right? And all that stuff isn't going to be picked up at your GPS. You're just basically going to be digging through existing water lines, sanitary lines, and fiber lines, right?
Well, it could be put in your design and have a
For sure.
geofence so you don't hit it.
If the design is there. So
but it's
just
not,
encountered,
because they just laid it and put dirt on it, and
just
it's
encountered.
roughly this depth.
Yeah, like we just started one of our utility jobs this weekend, and there was a mislocate by our locator, and they didn't pick up one of the lines. And thankfully, like our guys caught it because it's shown on a drawing, but it wasn't marked out in the field, right? So all it is simple. You call it locates, and they go and remark it for you. But it's as simple as that, right? Like there's so much of this old infrastructure that's just not on any plans yet, right? Like I don't know how many times we find stuff where we're like, it's not on the plans, right? It's just,
Oh, I remember.
right? You know all about it, right? So it's just, and it was definitely way worse from where I'm from. Like I was from a small town in BC where like there was no data on anything. And like we're talking like we're digging into like old wood stave pipes, like not even concrete shit, right? So it was something where like until the technology and like the as builds get caught up with the technology, it'll be useless in certain scenarios. Once that as building gets caught up where everything's marked out, then it's reasonable that you could, run a GPS main line on these jobs. But it's still like it'll never take away a good operator in those scenarios because you're digging under a pipe and you're scratching and like it's so much, you need to be a great operator to work around those utilities, right?
I seen a bucket. I don't know who makes it. I think it was like Conexpo or Bama. I should.
Was it the basically locator built in?
Yes.
Yes, it was at Conexpo. Very cool. But once again, I think that I guess you wouldn't need the data input because it's built like a locator, right? But yeah, they did have that at Conexpo, which is very cool. And they did have like the so Bobcat had like the touch screen.
Yes.
Or like the which
On the glass.
yeah,
whatever?
which same thing. Like I don't know how many times you're gonna shatter that glass, regardless of that, where that's useless as soon as you shatter your front glass. But it's very cool to see like on that, pop-up screen, seeing all the shallows that you're digging around. Like I think there is a if it was smaller and off to the side, it would be better just because your operator is not gonna want that hindrance.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a jet fighter.
Yeah.
Kind of showing where the pipes are.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was
Augmented reality. I love that.
Yeah. Which is 30 or 40 years from now, I'm sure our operators will be running like a VR headset or something, right? And
I don't even know if it's gonna be that far.
yeah, it might not be that far out, right? But yeah, ConExpo was amazing. Obviously, you've been there a few times, right?
Yeah.
You're probably presenting and doing some things there, but
yeah, I'm usually busy at those things.
yeah. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is the autonomous, seeing where that's come, right? Like even seeing, like for paving, seeing the autonomous rollers that basically, forget the brand, but basically, yeah, just all autonomous rollers that are chasing your paver, which is super cool to see.
And they keep track of past counts.
Yeah, keep track of past counts.
Volume loss.
Yeah, that's applicable to basically any paving you do.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. Like you just geofence the perimeter of what you're paving and then you're inputting it into a file, right? So I think that specifically could be huge for our industry, especially when it comes to going back to labor, right? If you just can't find enough guys that are good finish roller operators, right? Because that's very important to what we do is like a good finish break. A finish operator is the guy that's making that look pretty out there.
I find the operator who complains about semi-autonomous or autonomous machines are the ones like they complain about it, about you're gonna take my job, but like he's the first one to refuse to train someone.
Yes. Which is like, I get it. It's once again goes back to them protecting their jobs, which I think a lot of those guys are retiring now. You'll still see some of it, but yeah, like
But because you're not training people, this is why we need to implement this technology.
100%. Which is, I would love to get to a point where like we even take those guys and we're just using them as trainers. Like instead of them being worried about their job, we use them as specifically equipment trainers in our company, right? Like, don't worry about you'll have a job with us forever. All your job's going to be doing is just training other guys. Like take that knowledge that you've spent 30 years getting, and obviously they're amazing operators, but take that knowledge and that talent and pass it on to the next generation, right?
Totally.
And I think that's the next step is taking those guys before they retire, or even when they retire. Like how many people actually are going to be able to retire? Like especially in construction. Like I know so many guys that are like,
you retire, you die.
yeah, exactly, right? Like they need something to go do. I think I would probably be the same way. My dad was like that. So I think we just take those guys If they don't want to work, maybe only four hours a day or 20 hours a week, we just take 2 days and say, all right, come in and train these guys.
Yeah.
And that's all you do. Just come in, train the guys, come hang out with us for a day, just bullshit, and then come in and train some guys. And that's all they're doing. And it's a good way to retire. It gets them out of the house, right? And they can pass on that skill set that they've created over 30 years, right? Because they still are, there's nothing compared to a good finish operator, right? Like it's ridiculous watching those guys that have been doing it 30 years and you're just like, Jesus.
Master of their craft, I know.
Oh, masters. And they just so smooth and so dialed in, and it's so impressive to watch, right? But
Practice.
100%. And once again, it goes back to passion.
And caring.
Right? Like it goes back to that operator that we have that, has, I will say his name, but I don't want people to try to steal him. But having slippers on and just keeping his office nice and dialed in and clean, like that's the type of guy that cares. Like you could have somebody been doing it the exact same amount of time as him that'll never be as good as him because they just don't care, or they don't have that passion for what they do. Right? Where when you see somebody acting like that, they clearly love what they do, or else they wouldn't be doing it. Right?
Once upon a time, 20 some years ago, I forget what year it was, I was running a piece of shit dozer D6H, and I kept it spotless.
Yep.
And the foreman would come start my machine for me every morning, and he noticed, I was like, oh my God, Scott's machine is super clean.
Yeah.
They got a demo of a Komatsu D51 the year that they came out, 2006 or something like this, maybe. They bought that dozer, and they gave it to me.
Yeah.
My foreman had control of who ran it, just as I did when I was a foreman.
Yeah.
And he gave it to me because he knew I would take care of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the price of a Ferrari or two of them.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yep.
Take care of it. He knew I was going to take care of it. Right? So.
Well, same thing. Like our 870, that guy that keeps that cab clean, he's the one that runs that 870, right? And he's basically got it all tinted out just the way he likes it. And but why wouldn't we put him in there? Like like you said, it's $1.5 million machine, and he's treating it like gold. And that's what I want to, that's amazing. Because, those pieces of equipment aren't cheap.
I used to treat it like it was mine.
Yeah.
I bought it.
Yeah.
I worked my ass off to buy it.
100%.
So.
And I think that's how you, finding people like yourself that buy into that is huge, right? Because when you start seeing it as your company or your equipment, that's how I think you really succeed as a company, where it's I'm going to treat this stuff like it's my own. Because really, it's what's putting food on my table. If that 870 goes and blows a cylinder, not cheap repair, right? Same as those dozers.
It's like 80 grand.
Yeah, just a cool 80 grand.
For one.
Yeah. Yeah, right? So it's somewhere, those guys that treat those machines that good, we need to put them in a higher caliber and say, this is what you guys should strive for. Be like him, right? But
lead by example.
Lead by example, right? That's what it's all about. Yeah.
Okay, you ready? Look in that camera and do an outro.
An outro. Jesus. I guess follow us on all of our social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, our website, Northstar Contracting, or at Northstar Contracting. You can check us out, see all the cool things we do. And if you're interested, reach out and come join the team. This podcast was sponsored by Leica Geosystems and Northstar Beer.
Don't compete with anyone. I mean, there's people who do the same shit as me, but I don't care.
Yeah, as long as what we're doing is awesome.
I do my own thing.
The rest can play catch up.
Yeah.
That's how I see. But
and these beers are good.
Yeah, I like these. These are good. The ale's all right. We might have to get some more for Christmas. We'll see.
I want some. My own.
Yeah, I thought you guys were going to do that.
No, I don't like to copy people.
Yeah, but it's not copying. You're going to have something way different.
So, I have to wait
like a scotch or something.
2 or 3 years before I can copy.
Like a scotch or whiskey.
Because I don't like that shit.
No, you're not a hard bar?
I'm Scottish. My dad likes scotch. I
don't
like scotch.
The next I want to do is fucking like a whiskey. I love whiskey. So,
I like tequila. I could have my own line of tequila.
You're a tequila guy?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Are you a sipper?
My
dad sips tequila.
I'm a chugger.
Well, okay, that's even better. Tequila.
Not like butt chugging.
You're not a butt chug guy?
No.
Oh.